More than 3 years ago, I took apart a Microsoft Surface Duo 2 and removed the camera bump. And that kind of cost my 15 minutes of internet fame. A major tech publication called me a madman, and it's still one of the highest performing videos on this channel. And this week, a fellow tech YouTuber, Shane Craig, who kind of built his channel around this device in the early days, saw a post or a tweet by someone who was talking about a gaming-centered device, which kind of had the same form factor with that big screen up top where you could watch videos on. And that led him to reminisce a little bit about the Surface Duo series of devices and the way that Microsoft kind of squandered the potential that he and I both think this device had. And a lot of us, I would say, feel wronged by Microsoft, as strange as that is, by their lack of support for this device. And of course, that's a recurring pattern for them. So Microsoft is known for kind of ditching their devices and pretending they never existed, like they did with Windows Phone. Yeah, it's still kind of a good impetus to revisit these devices and kind of look into how I kind of feel they were ahead of their time. And so I wanted to take a quick look at my Surface Duo without the camera bump, because yes, it is still around and still alive, although I am not using this daily anymore. Now, the reason I'm not using this daily anymore is because I have a second one, a second Surface Duo 2 with the camera bump, and this is in much better condition. I will explain about this in just a second, but I'm using this with, as you can see, a 3D printed extension that kind of prolongs the camera bump down to the bottom so it doesn't rock as much on the table, and it also doesn't feel as insecure when you have it folded back and you kind of press down on the lower edge and it's properly supported. In my decision, this camera bump design was a complete misstep and kind of a baffling decision to anyone who liked the previous iteration of the Surface Duo, which I know people really ripped it apart in the reviews, and some people gave up on it really early on, but I always enjoyed that form factor quite a bit more. So I am personally using this better condition Surface Duo 2 right now instead of the bumpless one, as I call it, because I messed up a few other things apart from the camera bump. The camera bump removal was fine. I just dropped it a couple times, messed up the hinge, so the hinge is really, really weak right now, and it'll just bend if you even look at it funny. And also, I took it apart several times, first to replace the logic board because I had another device with higher storage capacity that I wanted to use on this one, and also had to replace the battery because I broke the battery contacts somehow. So yeah, I've not been kind to this device, but I promise you I still love it. Yeah, it's still working fine. It also doesn't have a fingerprint reader, but whatever. But as you can see, this lying perfectly flat on the table like this was my main reason for modding this device. And every time I talked about it, I had people tell me to just use an iPad, which fair, but the iPad would probably break if I snapped it in half like this. So the kind of biggest reason I like the Surface Duo, apart from the fact that it's an absolute engineering marvel, I have no idea how they got this thin at that point in time. Kind of folding devices have kind of caught up, I think, a little bit to this in recent years, but that doesn't change the fact that this double screen device still had proper glass screens on the inside, and also they're protected once you flip this shut. So for longevity and kind of durability, this was actually a really good form factor. I also really enjoy the actual screen aspect ratio, and apparently that's something that Apple is rumored to revisit in their upcoming folding iPhone, which is great because then everyone will be copying them, and then we have some more devices in this kind of form factor, which is fantastic because when you use this, for example, to read stuff on it, this width just gives you so much more information, and it's just so much easier to use, in my opinion, that I really vastly prefer this kind of form factor to use whenever. Like when we're looking at this, even just with one screen, with the other screen folded back, that just gives you so much more screen real estate to read on. It's really nice for Kindle as well. The Kindle actually supported this natively. So if we're looking at, let's find an actual book. Not downloaded, okay. If we're looking at an actual book on here, and we have this spanned, then you have one page on each side, and it's actually a really comfortable reading experience for people who are used to actual books. And the modded Surface Duo without the camera bump actually holds much better than the proper factory configuration of the device. It's much lighter. It's much easier to balance in one hand. And I really wish they had gone with this form factor instead of listening to initial reviews that slammed the original Surface Duo for having just the inside camera that has, of course, less quality than something that you can put in a gigantic camera bump like this. So the modded Surface Duo 2 is a lot easier to support in one hand. As I said, I messed up the hinge, so it kind of folds when I move it just a little bit. And it also sometimes stops recognizing that it's open in this configuration while I'm reading. This is, of course, very annoying because then the left side of the screen would switch off, and just kind of apps would bounce between the screens as they went in and out of working states. Right now it's working fine, which is interesting to see because I wanted to show you how it's acting up, but I guess this is better to show for a device that I actually generally like, because I've been using this for over 3 years, as I said now, and it's still the only device that I will consider because it has those two screens. It works in multitasking natively, so it keeps you on the home screen, on that second screen natively, and lets you choose the other app. And it doesn't span the apps to use the entire screen real estate unless you let it know to do this. So I really prefer this kind of multitasking. I usually have two apps open when I'm using this device. Sometimes if I'm on the go, I will fold it back. And yes, it does fold back all the way, unless you are using a thick skin. As you can see, I've kind of trimmed down the G-brand skin on this device because this skin is actually made out of 2 layers. So it has a printed layer, and if you cut that and take it off, it still leaves behind this kind of glossy black layer, which I left on there because, of course, this side of the device is broken. And that makes it really thick and, yeah, not ideal for a device that you want to fold back on the other side as well. I think they made this hinge to insane tolerances because If you had more tolerance on this hinge and it had a little space in between on this side, it would probably fold flat much easier than this does. I can still see it has a little bit of give because of that remaining layer, and also the improperly glued glass parts on the back of the device. So yeah, I've always used the Surface Duo 2 as my secondary device. So I kind of use this like you would a tablet next to my normal phone, which in this case is a Motorola Razr with the Clicks case on. I usually use this closed, so it's kind of like a mini BlackBerry type of device with a physical keyboard on there that I really enjoy. And I mentioned this in my previous video as well, I believe, but I usually use this in laptop mode with both screens open, and then I'll have, for example, a game and YouTube open, and then I'll just have it on the table like this with a video playing on the top screen and a game on the bottom, or sometimes just the video. I prefer this mode, but it also, of course, works in this kind of, we call it tent mode, where you have basically an inbuilt stand for the device. For general media consumption, I would probably just stick with the original Surface Duo anyways, with the slight caveat that it also has a smaller vertical on the screens, which for both 16:9 video and also for stuff like comics. So if I open up a comic book here, you can see the aspect ratio is very close to the Surface Duo 2, and I believe that's something that I also said in my initial comparison of the Duo and Duo 2, and especially if you are reading manga, then it will just be a lot bigger text because they're smaller to begin with than American comics, and they'll be a lot easier to read without having to zoom in. And I believe when I made my original comparison video, I also mentioned that I preferred this aspect ratio, but the original Duo without that camera bump was just a lot more easy to hold for longer times, and made a lot more sense as a form factor than the Duo 2, which I still stand by. But of course, removing the camera mitigates that quite a bit. It makes it a lot easier to hold, makes it a lot lighter, and brings it to that original ingenious form factor that the original Duo had, where you can fold it all the way back without that stupid camera bump getting in the way. Yeah, makes a lot of sense as a device. So yeah, still enamored by the design of the Duo 2. Still love the dual screen concept, the aspect ratio, and just love this device as a whole. Slightly tacitly hopeful that Apple's kind of adoption of this passport style form factor will inspire other manufacturers to make something in the same kind of vein. And maybe it'll even bring us devices like the Surface Neo that was promised and never came to be, which was what I really wanted. So I basically want a full-sized iPad with a little more widescreen form factor in this kind of folding form factor that I can transport more easily. And that would just have been the dream for me. That was the design. That was the device that I was really excited about. But yeah, still loving my Duo. Still haven't felt the urge or the compulsion to switch to something else. It's still working pretty well as my secondary device. Would I recommend it to someone who hasn't tried it before? Probably not, because there are still bugs. It is getting a little slow in some applications. Sometimes it will do weird things like think that it's closed while it's open, or open while it's closed, or have parts of the UI like the app switcher not properly disappear while you're not using, and stuff like that. That happens when some manufacturer stops caring or updating a device. So yeah, still my absolute favorite phone slash tablet style device of all time, and I haven't found anything better or as good since it. And I'm very salty about the way Microsoft let us down on this, and Windows. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Anyone else in my viewership still using one of these, or even the original Surface Duo? I still have mine. It's still in the closet somewhere. I haven't booted it up in some time, but maybe that's due for a redo. Oh, two. Let me know. Let's reminisce together about this awesome device, and also let me know if you're still digging it like I am. And let's talk. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate your time, and I hope to see you again.